Hello and welcome to pmclounge.com. In this video, we are talking about project manager salaries in Brazil. So, if you're someone who is a project manager in Brazil, or if you're someone who is a project manager somewhere else and want to move to Brazil, what is the kind of salary that you can expect there? What is the kind of industries, the kind of companies that you should target? What is the kind of department within those companies that you should target to be able to make the most money, right? So all of that is what we are going to discuss in this video. And as always, what we are going to refer to is PMI's own report known as salary survey. This is a member only report. So one other benefit other than the hordes of benefits that you get if you're a PMI member is this report, right? Reports like these. So I'd highly urge you to get yourselves the PMI membership. All copyrights acknowledged, no copyrights infringement intended. We will go over a few numbers just from Brazil. So if you want us to cover other countries, and we have actually covered some other countries as well, check out the important links in the description. And let me share my screen and let's go over what we are going to be talking about today, which is of course Brazil. So these are the detailed findings from Brazil based on PMI's salary survey. So what you can expect to make in Brazil is a salary of almost 173,000 Brazilian reais. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. This is the Brazilian currency. I believe this is the plural of a real. So 173,000 is what you can expect to make, which is the salary, and then total compensation, of course, is 190,000. We are only looking at the median numbers because median tend to give you the ground reality. That is something which is closest to reality. Now, you're a project manager in Brazil. What can you expect now, right? So if you're a project manager there, in the last 12 months, your salary might have remained the same. This is what people who have been surveyed have talked about, right? So 53% of Brazilians have said that their salary actually remained the same in the last 12 months. And let's not forget the troublesome times we are in, right? So last 12 months, their salary remained the same. Unfortunately, 8%, which is the second highest, said that their salary actually decreased. But the next 12 months look really, really good. So 35%, the majority say that their salary might remain the same. But then if you look at the second highest, which is 14% each, they think their salary is going to rise by double digits, and something their salaries are going to rise by 5% to 6.9%. So that's the second highest number. So obviously, the outlook is pretty positive when it comes to the next 12 months. Analyze salary by position description. And if you ignore the last two, which basically are the project management specialist and the project management consultant, because they do not represent the other positions mentioned here, which is almost mentioned in a hierarchy, right? You have project manager 1 to 3, then you have a program manager, portfolio manager, and director of PMO. Their median numbers, if you see, as you move up the corporate ladder, your salary is going to increase. Except the last two, because these two are not part of this hierarchy that they have mentioned here, right? So if you're a specialist, you can expect to make 144,000, and if you're a project management consultant, you can expect to make 168,000. So that is the kind of salary that you can expect based on the kind of position that you have. Analyzed salary by years of work experience. As you gain more experience, that you can see towards your left, your median salary is also obviously going up. And then in this table, they've talked about analyzed salary by years worked in project management. So you may have an overall experience number, and then you may have another number which just talks about the number of years that you have worked in project management. And obviously, except for the second entry here, as your number of years in project management increase, your salary is going to increase. Annualized salary by highest formal education level obtained. And I really, really wanted to cover this because if you see, the highest salary is being drawn by folks that have master's degree. Not a 4 year degree, not some college degree. Someone who has a master's degree is actually making the most in Brazil as a project manager. But the second best is someone who just has a high school degree. So you should either have just the high school degree or go for the master's degree, because these are the two kinds of professionals that are making the most. The third, of course, is someone with a PhD, a doctoral degree, right? So these are the top three salary earners by formal education, the highest formal education. Now, this again is interesting. If you have a degree in project management, you're making 168,000 odd. But if you do not have a degree, you are actually making more, 180,000. So we do get a lot of questions, right? Should we get a degree in project management? If you are from Brazil, if you plan to move to Brazil, the answer is definitely a no, because if you have a degree, you are obviously going to make less than someone who does not have a degree, right? Annualized salary by PMP status. Now, obviously, PMP is a clear winner here. Someone who has a PMP certification is making significantly more than someone who does not have a PMP certification. But then don't treat PMP as a launch pad, right? That, as soon as you get yourselves the PMP, next 6 months your salary goes to 180,000, the figure that is shown here. That's not how it works, because if you see, if you have been PMP for less than 1 year, they do not have the data for it. If you have been PMP for 1 to 5 years, your salary is actually almost the same as someone who does not have a PMP. But as your experience increases, as you start to display that PMP for you is not just a piece of paper, you are actually an expert, and PMP has helped you become that expert, your salary is going to increase with the number of years of experience that you have. Then there is a pay gap, of course, here. When it comes to gender, pay parity is the need of the hour. Males are expected to make 180,000, while females are expected to make 150,000. Moving on, we talk about annualized salary by department. And interesting here, if you're a project manager in finance, sales and marketing, or supply chain management logistics, you are going to be making the most in Brazil. A lot of PMPs belong to information technology, IT, and systems. You are not making as much as your peers in other departments. So, obviously, if you're someone with an information technology background and you're a project manager, you may not consider moving to Brazil, right? Because if you are from other department, you can consider. There are obviously other countries where you can get paid the most, right? So keep an eye on that. Subscribe to us as we keep covering other countries as well. Annualized salary by industry, and this is something which is highly dependent on the country that we are talking about. Because when it comes to Brazil, if you are someone who works in utility, someone who works in resources like agriculture and mining, or someone who is from construction, right? And I believe there's one more, that is pharmaceuticals. These are the kind of industries that are paying the most to their project managers. So again, if you're a project manager in information technology, you're obviously not making a lot. But if you're a project manager in these other industries, you can expect to make a lot higher than your peers in other industries. So that is something to consider if you're considering moving to Brazil, or if you are in Brazil right now. Annualized salary by number of employees in entire organization. And this is interesting, right? Because you can either consider joining a very large company that has 10,000 or more employees, or you can consider joining a startup that has, let's say, less than 100 employees, right? Because those are the two types of organizations that are paying the most, right? Everyone else falls somewhere in between. So those are the two types of organizations that you can think about. Annualized salary by average project team size and by average project budget. Mostly what you are going to see is as the number of people increase and as your project budget increase, your salary is also going to increase. Then it talks about equities, then it talks about employee benefits by position description, mean number of vacation days. These are all not directly related to your salaries, and these are, something very specific to the kind of organization you are working in, right? So these are very, very heavily dependent on your employer. But what I wanted to cover lastly was mean hours worked by position description. So, what is the number of hours you are expected to work if you're in Brazil? And as you can see here, if you're in Brazil, the mean number of hours for all these positions in project management is actually more than 40 hours. And this is just the expectation. The actual hours worked, which is reported by these people, look at this, 49.9 hours. The director of PMO is actually working 50 hours every week. That means either they do not have a Saturday off, or they are working 10 hours every single day. And you can see it's the same here, well over 40 hours for all these positions. So that's something to consider. If you are trying to move to Brazil, you will have to work really hard. Every week you are likely to work much more than 40 hours. So that's all in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want us to cover any other countries, let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.